They tell you no Brazilian superstar ever truly conquered the Premier League. The narrative is set in stone. The magic fades in the rain. The flair dims under the grey skies. But they are all wrong. They've collectively forgotten the one who did. Ed. A diminutive, baby-faced magician, standing just 5'5", who didn't just arrive in England. He issued a decree. He forced the entire league to bend the knee. He remains the only Brazilian ever to be crowned the Premier League's player of the season. R.A. And his achievement is rendered immortal by an absurd, tragic, beautiful asterisk. He is the only player from any nation to win that award while playing for a team that was relegated. That is why history tries to forget him. Consider the paradox. Philippe Coutinho could not lead Liverpool to a trophy, yet his legacy is secure. Roberto Firmino was often the subtle engine, not the glaring headline, but the medals ensure his place. Then there was Juninho Paulista, a world champion for both club and country. A man who wore Brazil's hallowed number 10 shirt, with the footballing royalty of Ronaldo beside him. He had the world at his feet, with offers from Manchester United, Arsenal and Liverpool swirling, and he chose Middlesbrough. A team perpetually flirting with disaster, from a post-industrial town an ocean away from his sun-soaked birthplace. He didn't just sign for them, he pledged his soul. In return, he dragged them to 3 major finals and planted the solitary major trophy in their history. For a glorious, fleeting period, that small club in the northeast could rightfully claim to house the best footballer in all of England. There is a romantic tragedy to his obscurity. To be forgotten for the club you loved represents the ultimate selfless sacrifice. The people of Middlesbrough will tell you he was as good as Pelé. The purists like Paul Scholes will casually mention he was unbelievable, like Messi, in some podcast aside, but few truly dissect his genius. And when you trace his path, seeing the staggering success he found every single time he stepped away from the riverside, you are left with a haunting question. What if he hadn't kept coming back to save them? His potential was galactic. His journey was never easy. That 5'5" frame marked him for doubters from the start. He was even released by Corinthians Academy at 13. But talent that radiance cannot be hidden. By 19, he was making his semi-professional debut for Ituano, and it took just one match, one chance, to alter his destiny. Say it's destiny. Facing the mighty Sao Paulo, a team under the legendary Tele Santana that had just conquered South America and was about to dethrone Cruyff's dream team Barcelona as world champions, the teenager from Ituano was man of the match. But he scored in a thrilling draw, announcing himself to the continent's best. 6 months later, Tele Santana, now a 2-time Libertadores champion who had just dismantled Real Madrid, decided that kid was the final piece of his puzzle. At Sao Paulo, Juninho's ascent was meteoric. He won the South American Super Cup within months. Then, in a special Libertadores Champions tournament, he came off the bench in the final to score a crucial goal and secure yet another continental crown. The only hesitation from Santana was physical. He worried Juninho couldn't withstand a full match at that intensity. The solution was a regimen reminiscent of Zico's own transformation, a strict diet and strength program. The results were spectacular. His second season announced him to the world. He entered the Intercontinental Cup final against an AC Milan side that had contested 5 European finals in 6 years. Juninho was instrumental as Sao Paulo dismantled them, a definitive statement that the best team on the planet resided in South America. He became an Iron Man for the side, making 70 appearances in a season, and even, due to a scheduling quirk, became the first player to feature in 2 official club matches in one day, scoring and assisting in Peru before changing kits to assist again in Brazil hours later. He was a force of nature, culminating in a hat-trick in a Copa Conmebol semi-final, finishing as the tournament's top scorer from midfield. He was untouchable. The inevitable call to the Brazilian national team came in 1995. He walked into one of the most talent-saturated squads ever assembled. The skepticism was palpable. Veteran captain Donga reportedly asked the manager why he had called up this schoolboy. Juninho's response was pure artistry. On his debut, he provided an assist in a victory. His performances secured the number 10 shirt for the Umbro Cup final at Wembley against England. Alongside the young phenomenon Ronaldo, it was Juninho who shone brightest. With Brazil a goal down, he had the audacity to step over a free kick despite the presence of Roberto Carlos. He curled it into the net, then assisted another for Ronaldo. The trophy was theirs. Europe's elite finally took unified notice, and here is where fate intervened. In the Wembley crowd that day was Brian Robson, Middlesbrough's player-manager, who was also serving as Terry Venable's assistant. And Robson had watched Eric Cantona, Jurgen Klinsmann and Dennis Bergkamp arrive in England at low points and achieve immortality. He became mesmerised by a single radical idea. What if a Premier League club signed a world-class talent before his prime? He fixated on Juninho and, against all logic, pulled it off. A newly promoted, unglamorous club from the northeast had signed Brazil's newest number 10. The culture shock was profound. Juninho arrived to a crowd of 6,000 bewildered, ecstatic fans. The club was so unprepared, his translator could barely communicate. Desperate, he spotted a Brazilian family in the crowd and asked for help. They took him in, a bond that lasted decades. Critics said a Brazilian could never handle the physicality. He started by stuffing newspaper into his boots to fight the cold. Yet, just 11 minutes into his debut, he had an assist. They soon realised a cold, rainy night in Stoke was no different from a muddy pitch in a Sao Paulo thunderstorm. He was sublime. Middlesbrough survived relegation for the first time in 15 years. Emboldened, the club went all in the following season, signing a kaleidoscope of international stars like Fabrizio Ravanelli, freshly crowned a Champions League winner with Juventus. The media dubbed them the United Nations. With Juninho and Ravanelli combining for 22 goals in the first 7 games, talk of a miracle season began. Then, the collapse. Player sales, a crippling virus that hospitalised half the squad, and a relentless focus on cup competitions derailed their league campaign. The Football Association's handling of their plight was cruel. After initially ignoring their plea to postpone a match, they finally agreed but deducted 3 points, calling Middlesbrough a Sunday League outfit. This punitive decision would become the anchor around their neck. Juninho fought like a titan. An 8-goal contribution in 6 games sparked a revival, but the club's dream became its doom. Chasing glory in the cups, they reached both the League Cup and FA Cup finals, but the fixture congestion was catastrophic. They entered the final 3 league games in the relegation zone, physically shattered. In a must-win match against Manchester United, Juninho was magnificent, scoring and creating a goal. Sir Alex Ferguson proclaimed him the best player in the league that day. But Ravanelli was injured, leaving Juninho alone for the final, fateful matches. He scored a late equaliser on the last day, his 31st goal contribution of the season, but only a win would suffice. They went down. Fair went down. The math was brutal. Had the FAR not deducted those 3 points, they would have stayed up. The league's best player stood crying on the pitch, his heart broken, not just by relegation, but by the knowledge the Brazilian Federation would force him to leave before the World Cup. The summer brought offers from Sir Alex Ferguson's United and relentless pursuit from Liverpool, but Juninho could not envision playing for another English club. He joined Atletico Madrid. He would later call Madrid. He would later call leaving Middlesbrough his biggest regret. In Spain, he formed a devastating partnership with Christian Vieri before a horrific, career-altering injury struck. Mitchell Salgado broke his ankle. Though he fought back, he missed the 1998 World Cup and spent years in the wilderness, even becoming a scapegoat at Atletico before a loan back to a now-promoted Middlesbrough. He was a shadow of himself. His salvation came in a dramatic return to Brazil with Vasco da Gama. Labelled a saviour, he delivered. Teaming with Romario, he provided the service for the veteran to score 73 goals in a year. Juninho became the clutch incarnate, scoring vital goals in every round of the Copa Mercaja, including a breathtaking solo effort against River Plate. In the final, trailing 3-0, at half-time in the second leg, he won 2 penalties and scored a stunning half-volley to complete an immortal comeback. He was the orchestrator of a domestic double, winning the silver ball and reclaiming his status as a South American great. This secured his place in Brazil's 2002 World Cup squad. After a last-minute injury to Captain Emerson, Coach Scolari asked Juninho to fill the defensive midfield role. Channeling a relentless Park Ji-sung-like energy, he was tireless, enabling the 3Rs to flourish as Brazil won their 5th title. He was a world champion again. At 30, with the globe at his feet once more, he had one dream left, a happy ending at Middlesbrough. He rejected all suitors and returned. A cruel ankle injury threatened everything, but his perseverance defined him. In the 2003-04 season, the magic returned. He scored the only goal of the first leg, and his dribbling drew a red card from Martin Cayon. Against Bolton in the final, Middlesbrough, the Abugic Galacticos, fought for their history. In the dying seconds leading 2-1, Juninho collected the ball deep in his own half, surged the length of the pitch, rounded the goalkeeper, and was only denied a storybook goal by a last-ditch tackle. It didn't matter. The whistle blew. Middlesbrough had their first major trophy. Sage Trophy. For Juninho, this feeling, in his own words, rivaled winning the World Cup. He was voted the club's greatest ever player. Yet, in a final twist, manager Steve McLaren saw no place for him in Europe the next season. His career wound down with moves to Celtic, Palmeiras, where he won another silver ball, and Australia, forever flirting with a 4th return to Middlesbrough. He even came out of retirement as a director to save his first club, Ituano, from relegation, scoring in a final day comeback. Under his direction, they later won their first state title. The golden touch never faded. Juninho Paulista's legacy is not one of forgotten talent, but of chosen love. He traded immortality in the mainstream for a different kind of forever, as a god in a place that believed in miracles only when he was on the ball. So